All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Check out Pig and a Pickle. 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Proud sponsors of the Krug Show. All right, let's get into it. Great story by Matt Barrows, who is as good as it gets when it comes to covering the 49ers. Matty did a phenomenal piece in The Athletic. I would encourage all of you to go check out his piece firsthand and not just listen to me describe it. But he interviewed Jeff Christensen, who's a quarterback guru, a quarterback coach that works with a number of quarterbacks. He works with over 200 quarterbacks around, or has worked with over 200 quarterbacks. And Lance spent time in Dallas this offseason working with Jeff Christensen and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes also uses Jeff Christensen. And Christensen told Barrows that he can generally diagnose what's wrong with a quarterback's delivery within a single day of watching him. But that with Lance, it took actually 4 days of him observing Lance before he could really figure out what he needed to do. Christensen said that Lance's motion, which has been retooled, has eliminated his ongoing arm fatigue, which I didn't even know if I thought was a legitimate story a year ago. And obviously it was. I think Mike Silver had the story originally. So Mike Silver deserves credit on this one. I'll give it to him way later than I'm sure everybody else did. But Christensen said that Lance's motion, which has been retooled, is eliminated his arm fatigue, which is huge, absolutely huge, because you can't be a quarterback who throws for 3 days and then needs to take 2 days off. It just doesn't work that way. It's not the way the schedule works. So that is something that has plagued Trey Lance since his first training camp with the 49ers. And then Barrows reported that by the end of their time together, Christensen and Lance, that Lance went from needing to take a day off after 3 days of intense workouts to waking up one day and that arm soreness was just no longer an issue at all, which is awesome to hear, incredible to hear. And then I guess once Christensen found what the issue was with Lance, his accuracy improved, as did the spin on the ball. And then his delivery time also became shorter. And Christensen credited Lance with, being very eager to learn and to push himself through, which is something very difficult. I mean, think about that. You're a quarterback. You've thrown one way your whole life. And now you're going to try to recreate that while you're a professional. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. And Christensen was quoted as saying, it's a different feeling and it can be kind of weird and it can be kind of scary. And so it's a whole different feeling when the ball leaves your finger. To his credit, he slowly kept applying and kept believing. He's really fit right in. Pat really thinks the world of him, talking about Mahomes. He's just a really good person, conscientious. He wants to be great. And he's one of the few kids whose actions match his words. He backs it up. He shows up every day. He wants to learn. And that's why I teach him. And then Christensen finished off by saying he was 25% ahead of where I thought he would be by the time they finished. And that he went on to say he thinks he can be incredible in the Niners offense under Shanahan. So that would be awesome. And who knows? Maybe Lance will go back to Christensen after the latest, the OTAs that are coming up here in May and June, and continue to work on improving and getting used to his new mechanics and trying to commit them to muscle memory so that it's a repeatable thing. But yeah, the combination of Lance's desire, his intellect, his work ethic, and his natural gifts as an athlete make his upside intriguing and one that I would be deathly afraid of trading this guy because I think he's going to achieve to his skill level, and the skill level is immense. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what he looks like in OTAs and then again this summer. And I guess the issues with his throwing motion, were substantial because obviously if it normally takes Christensen 1 day to get the solution, it took him 4 days. Obviously there was more to it than just one thing. And now Trey's trying to probably go and master that muscle memory and commit to it. Now, it's interesting that, Kyle Shanahan in an article that was also, interestingly enough, in The Athletic, not by Matt Barrows, by another guy named Nick Underhill. And this was an article put out in April of 2019. And the question was, how much can a quarterback prospect's throwing mechanics really be changed? And this is a quote from Shanahan. He says, if a guy throws a certain way and you think we're going to teach him at age 23 to throw it differently, he might do it in practice. He might do it in drills, but you throw him into an NFL game in the heat of the battle, and he's going to resort to who he is and what he's always done. So that almost seems to be like a belief from Shanahan that that you can't really change that much, that many significant things about your motion as a pro, that it's easier said than done, that you can sit there and say, yeah, we'll just change his motion. But in reality, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. Overall, though, I'd have to say this is easily one of the most positive articles I've read about Trey Lance since Lance has been drafted to the 49ers. One, it just kind of reconfirms everything that all my scouting buddies told me about him, which was, and I've met Trey, but I've never seen him. I didn't know him in college. I never rolled onto his North Dakota State's campus in Fargo and scouted him. Didn't have that kind of access to him, but I have friends who have and who did, and they said, you know what, Krug, this kid is absolutely exactly wired the way you would want a great quarterback to be wired. He has really high standards for himself. He's humble. He's a leader. He's tough. He doesn't complain. Is he there yet? No, he's raw, but as far as his makeup is off the charts. And when the people that I talked to right after the draft, when I was inquiring as to what was the kicker for the Niners, why Trey over Mac, why Trey over Fields, why did they want Trey Lance? And they were absolutely enamored with his makeup, that his makeup as a person won them over, that they saw the same flaws. It's not like, oh my God, people are now acting like the Niners should have known before they used the third pick in the draft that he had these mechanical issues. They knew. Come on. You think Kyle Shanahan doesn't know mechanics? He knows mechanics. These guys knew. These guys knew there was a great distance to go and that there was going to be an adjustment period. They were betting on the upside tied to the person, tied to the makeup, tied to who Trey is and how he was going to respond when adversity came his way. NFL adversity is inevitable at the quarterback position. So whether it was going to be a lot of adversity or a little, whether it was going to come on day one, day two, it was coming and there was going to be adversity. And so that's really their evaluation, that they really felt like he would respond to adversity the right way, with the proper attitude, with going about things the right way, with incredible work ethic, with dedication to his craft. Football is important to him. That's one of the questions that a lot of scouts ask when they evaluate quarterbacks. Okay, I can see this and I can see that and this and that. How important is being good at football to this player? And that's where the Niners gambled, because they said, you know what? We're going to take a shot on a guy, and we know he's not there yet, but we know that football is important to him. We feel like his character and makeup are of the highest order, and we're going to gamble on it. And they did. And I think eventually they're going to be proven correct, but it's going to take some time. But to me, the overwhelming positive was just the fact that by working with Christensen and now with the finger right, that he's throwing a better ball. He's throwing a better spiral. He had a 10% drop rate last year. Small sample size, but still, that's way, way too high. You don't want a double-digit drop rate. It would have ranked like 30th or 33rd in the NFL if he had held that same drop rate over the course of the full season. And why did he have a drop rate that high? It's because he wasn't throwing a tight spiral a lot. And so it was coming out like a wobble. And it was that combined with his arm speed and arm strength. It was a high-speed wobble. And that is the most difficult ball to catch, is the ball that's spinning wildly. So if he's throwing a better ball because of his mechanics, if it's putting less strain on his arm so he can throw more often, these are huge, huge positive developments Now, is it going to help him throw with the proper timing? No. Is it going to help him throw with the proper touch? Maybe. That's a possibility, but not completely. Those are still things that he's going to have to work on. Touch, timing, but it should help with his ability to practice more because he doesn't have arm fatigue. It should help with his drop rate because he's going to throw a far more catchable football in a more consistent spiral. And I think it should help with his accuracy. So I'm so eager to see what Trey's got this summer. I believe that this kid's going to get there. Now, I'm hoping it's this summer. I don't think that it is, but I expect him to look a ton better. Based on what I've heard, I expect him to really look good. And I would be shocked if Sam Darnold beat him out at the beginning of the year for the starting job. Absolutely shocked. I think you're going to see a Trey Lance who's streamlined, who knows the offense better, who throws a more catchable ball, a more accurate ball. He's still going to have to work on his touch and his timing, but I think it's going to be enough to beat out Sam Darnold in training camp and in the preseason. So, but great news. And if you get a chance, Matt Barrows does an incredible job at The Athletic. I don't want to embarrass him or anything, but Matt Barrows does an incredible job. He really does. And why does he do an incredible job, or how does it manifest itself? He seeks out, really qualified people who have interesting things to say, and he'll tell those stories and he'll share those factoids and he'll advance the story. And he really did here. So great work by Maddie. I encourage all of you to sign up for The Athletic and pay the fee to be a member of The Athletic and to get their content just on the stuff alone that three guys I'm huge fans of put out. And that would be Matt Barrows, David Lombardi on the Niners, and then Dane Brugler on college football and the draft and the lead up to the draft. Those three guys all work for The Athletic. Those three guys alone are worth. If The Athletic if all you got were Brugler, Lombardi, and Barrows, The Athletic would still be a screaming deal. That's how good they are. And I would encourage everybody, go to The Athletic and read Matt Barrows' breakdown and piece on Jeff Christensen and the work that he's done with Mahomes and Lance. And you'll see that there's a lot of great developments. Do we snap our fingers and suddenly Trey Lance is Mahomes? No. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but the work is being done behind the scenes. The reps are being conducted, the mental reps, the physical reps, the determination to eradicate every part of his game that isn't going to work for him, and to develop a working game plan that takes advantage of his strength, his athleticism, his intelligence, and everything else. I can't wait to see what Lance looks like this summer. I think it's going to be really, really exciting. And I know the 49ers have a franchise quarterback in Brock Purdy. I think some of you know that as well. The exciting thing is they may have two. They may have two. And then they're in a much, much better position long term. And I hope that's the way it shakes out. I hope Trey Lance shows up this summer and shows everybody the 49ers don't just have one franchise quarterback. The 49ers legitimately have two franchise quarterbacks. Anyway, great piece by Barrows. Check it out. Jeff Christensen working with Trey Lance. Really, really good stuff. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin, Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.